What's up, folks? Welcome to the Couch Connect. My name is Joab, and today I'm hanging out with Sam Martin. What's up, Sam?
Hey, Joab. Good to see you after a long time, eh?
Good to see you, man. Nice hanging out with you. Thanks for coming out and hanging out with us on this couch today.
It's my pleasure, man.
Man, I grew up with you, man.
I know you had the best time in high school.
Yeah, I went to high school with Sam, and Sam is a jack of very many trades right now, but I identify with Sam because he's a YouTuber.
Wow. That's a new title. I didn't see that coming. But anyway, I do YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I have you seen? So there's a bunch of guys who are doing this YouTube stand. So I'm seeing. I don't know if you've seen. This guy was arrested for firing fireworks on a Lamborghini from a helicopter. Did you see that?
No. I think I haven't seen that.
Okay, so there was another one which happened years ago. This guy jumped out of a plane. So he's a pilot. He was the pilot of the plane.
Uh-huh.
He jumped out of the plane, recorded the whole thing, and then paraglided to the ground. So the plane crashed in some mountains in California or something.
Okay, I think I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
You should share with me after this.
Yeah. So
were there any passengers in Amma?
No, there was no passengers. It was the only guy flying the plane.
Okay.
I mean, all these YouTubers, who made a bunch of money on YouTube and stuff like that, and they're doing all these stunts to make some money or to get some views and stuff like that. Yeah. So as a YouTuber, what's the biggest stunt you've ever pulled?
That's a trick question. I really don't have any stunt per se.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my strategy is just to have relevant content.
Okay.
Especially since now I transited into parenthood and the journey thereof. So I just try to align my content with my life.
Okay.
And probably people who are meant to see, people who are meant to gravitate towards the same kind of journey I am in, would probably eventually get to see my content.
Okay.
That's my
parenthood.
My
Damn. What happened to life, Sam? You're a parent now.
I know, man. I don't know what happened, man. The other day we were running with torn shorts.
Up and down the hills of
Mitsubishi.
Yeah, that's why I went to high school. So I don't, before you started this podcast, you say that there's, I'm not sure if the viewers or the fans of this show know that I'm a preacher. So I'm a preacher, guys. But among the many hats that I wear is that I'm a preacher.
Yeah.
So Sam was telling me that I was a preacher in a congregation where he was seated. I don't know what I said, man. Because most of the time that I preach, I don't know. My sermon is probably misaligned with most people's beliefs. So can you tell me about what you remember?
Actually,
from that sermon?
The last time I had you preach in church, you were speaking about. You mentioned three things. I might have forgotten the three things you said. Then there's one statement which stood out for me. You said something like you can always go back home. And I want to allude this to, there's a story you gave about, I think, the prodigal son. Sometimes people are just afraid of going back home because of the backlash and everything. I always remember that sermon to date. Damn. Do you remember?
Man, I don't remember that. I mean, I've done the prodigal son a couple of times, and now my sermons have changed the way I present the sermons. The past 3 years, I've been looking at the little guys in the sermons that we always forget.
Okay.
So I may not remember exactly what I talked about.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm inspired, man. I'm inspired, but somebody remembers my sermon.
I don't really have good memory. Like for that, I always remember.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Yep.
Okay. So, among many things, so your name is Sam.
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah.
And you have another name?
Kofele.
Kofele.
Cofele.
Damn. So you have 3 first names.
Why do you call it a first name? It's just a name.
I don't know, man.
Because Sam is my first name.
Okay.
Martin is you could say it's my Christian name.
Okay.
Then Kofele is, actually, there's a backstory to Kofele.
Okay.
My dad's first venture was called Kofele Agencies.
Okay.
Lakini ilianguka bro. So yeah, so I think he named me after the venture.
Okay.
So I took it up. It's actually in my birth certificate. Yeah, so it's my name, sijajipatia bro.
Yeah. So you know what's funny? I'm very happy that your dad's first kofele failed, but you seem to be a very successful kofele. And your dad must be proud. Okay, so you are a music producer, you are a teacher, you are many other things. But so did people ever make fun of your names growing up?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, I never introduced myself through my 3 names. I always called myself Sam Martin. So people would call me Sam Martin. Sam Martin.
So it sounded like one name. Yeah, like Sam Martin.
Some other people would call me Sir Martin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's Sam, then Martin. Not Sammy, not Samuel. Not
some people call you that.
Yeah.
Samuel, Sammy, Samson.
Yeah, like they insist annoyingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just Sam.
Okay. So speaking about names, I am the kind of guy who I always talk to my wife about this. I love simple names.
Okay.
Names like John, Mary, Sarah. Why are you laughing, man?
Is Joab a simple name, man? That's a big name.
Joab is a simple name, man. It's 2 syllables, 3 syllables, Joab. Yeah, but it's a simple name.
Okay,
I didn't call myself Joab.
Okay.
So we won't talk about that, but I'm going to talk about what I would prefer to call people.
Okay.
Either my kids, my friends, or whatever. So Peter, simple names.
Okay.
Mary, I'd probably said Mary. But I'm inspired now that people are taking up different names. So I will hear names like Zuhura or Sahara or I don't know,
Zamunda.
Yeah, Zamunda. That would be another one. Yeah. So what's your thought on the naming of children, especially with names that are especially Africanized?
Yeah, I think there's a context to naming. There's a philosophy we embrace as in traditional African societies. I'm a Luo myself. I may not know much.
Okay.
Because I'm not really bred huko nyumbani, and but what we have noticed, families try to pass on the characteristic or the lineage of the family through the naming.
Okay.
Yeah. So like myself, I have Sam Martin Kofele, but I have Odhiambo. Odhiambo is my dad's name.
Okay.
So it still features somewhere there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. People just want to maintain the name of their lineage, so that they don't lose themselves as we're doing life.
Okay. Maybe in the previous generation, people were very conservative in the way that they thought, and maybe I'm one of those conservative guys. But then I feel like now generations are moving towards being more liberal.
You're right.
And making decisions that are not necessarily conservative or tied to what society would want them to be. So, would you say you grew up in a liberal family or in a conservative family?
That's a trick question. My dad might be watching this thing.
Yeah.
No, but I'd say
okay.
Somewhere in between. I think they try to strike a balance because, of course, coming from a Christian family, people try to do things strictly by the book.
Yeah.
I would say from my naming, it didn't really come from the lineage, like my first name and my second name. My mom's supervisor at the time, she was working at some research firm, was very instrumental in her work. So that's how the name came about, Sam Martin.
Okay.
So I think at that time it was like a departure from the norm, because my elder brother's Dennis Young, my grandfather was named Dennis.
Okay.
Yes. So Young is like the younger version of. You understand, eh?
That's a very that's a very interesting way of getting Dennis with a name.
Yeah.
Like you're the younger Dennis.
Yes.
So we're just gonna go as simple as possible, and you'll be called Dennis the Young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then Franklin Mireri. Mireri is my uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle from Gwasi. So he took it up from there.
Okay.
But from me, I think that's where they began the migration.
Okay.
Yeah. So pretty much blended. I wouldn't say they were very strict, or conforming to what was there at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So let's speak about strict for a moment here. I mean, you've talked about your dad a couple of times. You talked about strict maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
Was your dad a strict man?
Pretty much. It depends to which point in my life.
So there's a time in your life that he was strict, and then there was a time that he wasn't a strict man.
Yeah, because it's a transition. So
Okay.
life is always.
I mean, I don't know. What's your school experience like? Did you always have very strict teachers?
I think while growing up, we had teachers who would double up as school teachers. Then we'd also meet with them in church.
Okay.
Now you see, automatically they're like deputy parents.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyone would beat you anytime. So they were quite strict. Some of them were strict because they felt like they were also like my parents' eyes. So I'd say, yeah, from preschool, I really had strict teachers, all the way to, let's say, primary school. Yeah, so that's when we now began having class teachers who would be very interested in your personal development. So yeah, we had strict teachers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think the teachers now are not as strict as they were when you were growing up? I don't think your kids are school going age yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
One is 3, the other one is 6 months old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you've interacted with some teachers here and there.
Yeah.
Do you think they're as strict as they were before?
No. I think it's understandable. Right now, we're in a kind of a rights-based era.
Okay.
Where teachers do not really have the reach they had back then. Because any teacher would spank you for coming in late.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm saying this because the other day I took my son for VBS.
Yeah. What is VBS?
Sorry?
What is VBS?
Oh, VBS. VBS in our church is a vocational Bible school.
What is that?
So it's just a week-long camping activities for kids. So they learn different things based on the themes that are set out for the year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting camp for the kids.
So they learn like life skills?
Yeah, life skills, Bible stories.
Bible stories, okay.
How to make friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no spanking?
Of course, no spanking. But back then.
So you also had VBS during your time?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
But it was very different. It was almost like school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if any teacher would get you misbehaving, I'm telling you, you'd face the music. But yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that you were dropping your son off at VBS this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not this week, but yeah.
Some time back, okay.
Some time back, yeah. Of course, he's still growing up.
Yeah.
There's some things he would want to discourage. But I would see how the teachers would carefully approach the matter. It's like they want to get your approval. They want to sort your eyes and see how you're gauging them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this takes me back to there's a real paradox. Because back then they used to be hands-on, like they would even pinch you and stuff. But nowadays I see a huge shift from that.
Do you think that the pinching and the spanking and the being strict molded you to become who you are, made you a better person?
Oh, Gato, definitely. Look at who you are.
What are you trying to say?
I'm sure your parents did something spanking or pinching for you to become the man you are right now.
So are you trying to say that if I wasn't pinched, spanked, caned, or whatever, I wouldn't be the person that I am right now? Maybe I'm living in trauma.
No. You can't be living in trauma. You said maybe.
Yeah, maybe I'm living in trauma. I just don't know it yet. Maybe it shows up in my life in different ways.
No, I understand. Yeah, true. Yeah, you have a point. But it was important for parents to be hands-on in terms of instilling discipline physically. Because now the kid would be, we would know our limits.
Yeah.
But nowadays I see how probably you can only discipline your son or your daughter. Past that, you have no control. You may find yourself in the justice corridors. So, I think you're better off just disciplining your own son or daughter.
Okay.
But it's very important for parents to be hands-on. Because if Atunge Chapo or Gato, things would have been very different. Trust you.
So you're trying to say that if I wasn't spanked, I would be a very different person right now. And that probably goes for you too.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So with that very statement, then what's going to happen to the kids now? Or I don't know if you spank your kids. I'm not planning to spank my daughter, at least. Maybe if I get a son at some point, I'm probably going to spank him. I don't know. But do you think that automatically means that our children are going to be spoiled brats?
Not really. I think it's upon us to see how far we can discipline them.
Okay.
But the baseline remains: they have to respect parents, they have to follow guidelines. So how we discipline, I think what matters is how they view the spanking, the disciplining, so that they don't just take it like we are just spanking them for the sake. We are like trying to instill some kind of character and to encourage some traits and discourage some traits. So if we do it out of love, if we just strike a balance, I think we'll have a good future with them. Yeah. I should ask you, by the way, what's your philosophy for naming your kids? Right now you have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What guided you in naming her?
I named my daughter after my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and my wife chose her middle name.
Okay.
And she took my last name, which is my grandfather's name. So do I have a philosophy for naming kids? I would go with the simplest way, like I said, John, Joseph, Mary, Peter.
That's okay.
But I don't know what so it just jumped out at me. I mean, we were looking for names before we knew the gender of the kid that we were gonna have. But the moment we knew, I just knew that she was gonna take my grandmother's name. Then I discussed with my wife, and my wife agreed, and then we saw how we were gonna take it after that.
Okay.
Yeah, but so there's also this other policy, or not policy really, but a cultural belief. There's also this other cultural belief that kids will take the character of the people they're named after. I don't know if you have that in your culture.
I've had that a lot.
Yeah, so I know my grandmother was very loving, very hardworking, and I wish my daughter takes all those nice things from my grandmother. And if my grandmother had any quality that wasn't good enough, I hope my daughter doesn't take that.
You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even attribute it to her.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna say the world taught her this. Yeah, I mean, if she has a bad attribute, any bad character, bad attribute, I'm gonna say that she got this from the world,
but not from the dad or the mom.
Of course. I mean, there's some cultures actually that say that every good thing is from the dad and every bad thing is from the mom, which I think is first of all, I think it's a very wrong principle.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Because I think that first of all, there's nurture and then there's nature. And I think that kids would take up nurture more than nature.
Okay.
So if you want your kid to become a good kid, you put them in the right environment, you work hard in teaching them, chances are they're going to be good kids.
True.
It is possible that they are predisposed genetically to becoming tough-headed and difficult and troublemakers, and which is sad because you work so hard to make to put your kids in the right way, but they end up in the being bad people.
Yeah.
But then again, I think that just doing the right thing by your kids is very important.
True.
And now what I think is important for parents to do then is to spend time in molding their kids' character, which we don't have.
Yeah, true.
Time that most parents don't have.
Yeah.
And which I think is a sacrifice that people need to make. Take some time out of your schedule to spend time with your kid, know who they are, learn them, understand them, talk to them, and make them your friend. And that is hopefully what I would do with my daughter or my children.
That's nice.
In the future.
How is it for you, by the way? Because there's there are house managers nowadays. What's your take on that? On having a house manager to help you, probably with your daughter?
Yeah, so I've never had a house manager, so I don't know how that would look like. I don't have a house manager because I can't afford one.
Okay.
I live in an economy where it's very expensive. Probably all the money that I get paid, I'll probably pay all of it to a house manager.
Actually, it's very expensive having house managers where you are.
Yeah, it is expensive.
Okay.
It is generally expensive. Childcare is generally expensive when you think about buying all the food that they need, all their clothing, all their care products, and then there's daycare, which is another added cost.
Yeah.
And so what you find most parents doing actually when they have 3, 4, 5 kids, one of the parents will actually stay at home to take care of the kids because they can't afford to take them to daycare anymore.
Yeah.
But then again, that also gives you the opportunity to spend time with your kids and actually teach them.
Very true.
So what's my opinion on house managers? Because I've
Yeah.
never had one,
Yeah.
I really may not have an opinion on that. But I also know that the fact that I can't afford one enables me to spend time with my daughter
Yeah, true.
and hopefully mold her character
Very
and
true.
make her who I would love her to be.
Yeah.
But then again, I have this comparison. I have friends who are mostly of Asian origin, so
Okay.
Chinese, Indian,
Uh-huh.
Sri Lankan, who have grown up at home and they never went to daycare.
Okay.
So I would find that most of these kids, or now they're grown-ups, first of all, I admire the fact that they can speak their their parents' language.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I think that the moment these kids go to daycare, they lose the ability to speak their mother tongue, if I would put it that way.
Okay.
Then they would, because you spend most of your day in daycare where everybody's speaking English
Yeah, true.
or French, so
Yeah.
you end up either taking up English or French.
Yeah.
And when you come home, most likely your parents are going to speak to you in English or French.
Yeah.
And so you end up forgetting, I don't know, Yoruba, Igbo, or Luo, Kisi,
True.
or whatever language your parents speak. And so what I would prefer is being able to have my kid actually speak my language. I would really, really love that my daughter can speak Kisi
You'd love.
and Swahili
Okay.
and English and French and anything else. And the reason why I would love this because I think that we are losing out our traditional languages, especially the African languages. They're being wiped out. The cultures are being wiped out. And why are they being wiped out is because Western cultures are taken to be more superior than our cultures. And, you find parents to be, happy with their kids having this Western style, Western culture, Western, languages.
True.
And then our traditional languages die. Our traditional culture dies.
Yeah.
And then people can't identify who they are. Personally, I think I've lost part of my traditional culture because I didn't get that from my people. And I mean, whatever I got, I still want to pass that on to my daughter.
Totally understand you.
Yeah. So you grew up in a preacher's home.
Yep.
So we're laughing about it, but I have seen. So we start off by talking about conservatism
Yeah.
and liberalism, and I said that nowadays I see a lot of liberalism. Long ago, there I feel like there was a lot of conservatism. Now, you as a preacher's kid in a preacher's home growing up,
Yeah.
would you say that there was a lot of conservatism, or you were free to do whatever you wanted to do?
I have to think about it.
And the reason why I'm asking this is this.
Yeah.
I'm not a preacher's kid. And so what I imagine is that a preacher's kid would, I don't know, not a preacher's kid, but a preacher would, the preacher that I see in church is probably the same preacher that is there at home.
Yeah, true.
But I also think that I am a teacher and I treat my kids in school differently. And so when I go home, I leave my professorship at the university.
Okay.
And I don't take that home with me.
Okay.
At home, I am just Joab. But in school, I'm Professor Ogado.
Yeah.
And so in your case, what would you say was as a preacher's kid, would you identify the difference between the preacher in church and the preacher at home, or they're basically the same person?
I think I'm more or less the same person.
Okay.
My dad, you said my dad was a pastor.
Oh, I didn't say that. You say that.
Okay, so I'm saying my dad was a pastor.
Okay.
Yes. So, of course, we'd have devotions at home, fellowships. I'm trying to remember as we were growing up, we'd have prayer cells.
Okay.
They were more vibrant back then because families had access to each other in a way that I don't see it nowadays.
What are prayer cells?
Prayer cells are small churches based in neighborhoods.
Okay.
So people who are probably staying in a certain neighborhood could congregate and just worship and sing music and worship together.
And so you probably get this sense of community.
Exactly.
And okay.
Yeah.
And so you say that those are not there anymore.
I don't see them anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't see any disconnect or any difference between dad at home or dad in church. So yeah, he was pretty much the same person, and he would be strict actually.
Okay.
My dad was quite disciplinarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of spankings
Yeah,
and
we
whoopings.
did. Yeah. He could, of course, he could preach and stuff, but when it gets to serious stuff,
Yeah.
he'd do the needful, banner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gracefully.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I have looked at very many preachers' kids.
Okay.
I've not done any research, so I don't have statistics on this.
Okay.
But I do feel like many preachers' kids grow up and turn up to be probably have a different character from
the preacher.
From the preacher.
Okay.
Or from the character that the preacher would be imagined, that I would imagine a preacher's kids would have.
Okay. Okay.
So you find most of these kids are, for the lack of a better word, they're lost.
Okay.
So being a preacher's kid, I mean, I don't know if you're lost yet. Maybe you're on your way to being lost, or you're on your way to being found, or you've never been lost, which is a good thing. But what do you think happens that we see this happening a lot of times, that we have preacher's kids growing up and then they are basically have a weird moral compass?
I don't know, but what I know is generally there's a higher threshold of standard, of character for preachers' kids. I understand, because probably they should lead by example.
Yeah.
And so every preacher's kid or every preacher would want to probably, quote unquote, have a marking scheme, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah. So I totally understand where you come from. There's always you feel like there's you have to live up to the standard. But as you're growing up, of course, you're also discovering yourself. The word doesn't change, but I think it just behooves on us to try and live our lives according to the light we've received.
Yeah.
So that has been my motto. I wouldn't really say I'm not lost or I'm lost, but I just try to live better every day.
Yeah.
And be a better example to my family, my kids who are growing up, the people who, the influence around me. Yeah, so that's it.
So you talk about the pressure, or you probably didn't call it a pressure, but I extrapolated that to be the fact that these preachers' kids are held with a greater standard, as opposed to other kids.
Yeah.
So do you think that maybe that affects their mental health, the fact that they are held at higher standard?
Now that you've mentioned it, it's now occurring to me that probably it may have been affecting our mental health. Because, you're not, let me say, you really don't expect the limelight to be on you. But now when you're probably within the youth council or within the youth choir, or just in school, you hear people saying, huyu ni kijana pastor, so he has to behave in such a way.
Yeah.
Or probably when somebody goes against you or does something against you, there's a way they expect you to behave, not the worldly way. So, yeah, you're right. I think we are torn in between probably two worlds. And I just hope that every family would find a way of how can I put it? People should find a way of probably living as themselves, not as they're accountable to a certain section of people. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I met your dad. The first time I met your dad was probably about maybe 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
No, it can't be 20 years ago. Probably, damn, it's actually a long time ago.
It's almost 20, actually.
Yeah, it's 19 years ago. Damn.
I'm telling you, you're growing old, man. We are growing old.
Yeah, and I remember your dad sang a song that first Sabbath I saw him in church. So he sang.
Where was that, actually?
It was in the Tumishi Academy.
Okay.
It was in high school.
Okay.
And he sang this song, Lift Up Jesus, Lift Up Jesus, Lift Up Jesus, Lift Him Up. Man, the way he sang that song, I realized that when this guy is actually a singer, I feel like I'd never experienced that sort of choristering,
Okay.
or that sort of guiding the congregation to sing in a certain way, or teaching a new song to a congregation. I was probably used to a different way of teaching a new song to a congregation. And so when that did that, I realized, man, this guy is very different. His way of doing this is very different. So I know that you also have a musical gift. I imagine you have a musical gift.
You
Probably.
imagine? Okay.
Yeah, I imagine it's a gift.
True, yeah.
I don't think you train to become
You're right.
good in music. You just were musical growing up, right? So do you think your dad had an influence in you being musical or loving music?
I totally agree. He did have an impact in my musical journey, so to speak. Is somehow rubbed off. He'd really love to, his preachings are full of music, pieces here and there.
Yeah.
And so by nature of him loving music, he'd just try to find a way of infusing music in his teachings.
Yeah.
So as a family, he'd also want us to present once in a while, just to sing in church and worship. And so I think leading up to high school, there was that pathway, of course, because every evening probably would sit down as a choir, as a family, and sing. So
every evening at home, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Okay, actually not every particular day,
okay,
but there were those days which we couldn't just miss.
Okay.
Wednesdays and Fridays were like
choir day, family choir day.
Yes, actually there were songs we'd learn on those specific days.
Oh,
yes.
Okay,
very many songs.
So every Friday, every Wednesday, you were learning a new song.
Not really a new song, but they're the hymns.
Okay,
he'd like to teach us the new songs.
Yeah,
from the hymns. But then on Fridays, let's say when we're preparing for Sabbath, he'd teach us a Swahili song. Yeah, Swahili songs are more relatable with congregations in Kenya.
Yeah.
So I think just to answer you, I owe it to him.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a very good friend of his, Gideon Kasozi.
Yeah, I know Gideon Kasozi from Uganda.
Yeah, he's actually at the States right now.
Okay. Yeah. He immigrated to the States.
Yes. Okay. They were very good friends. They were very close. So anytime, while my dad was in Kampala those days, they would make music together.
Yeah.
And when he'd come to visit in Kenya, of course, he'd sleep on his own room, but I'd find my way into his room and just go and listen to what he's doing while he's fixing the instrumentals and everything.
Yeah.
I think that's how I probably just found my way into music, and it's been a beautiful journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was speaking to a guy called Billy Black. I think you know Billy Black.
That's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Billy Black told me that to him, music does something to him. It, damn, I don't want to misquote him, but it was very, very, whatever he said was very scientific. Yeah, I remember. So there's a song that he sang that is called "Take My Heart and Show It How to Beat Again."
Oh, okay.
Take my broken heart and show it how to beat again.
That's so philosophical, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I asked him that line, where, that specific line. So take my broken heart and show it how to beat again. Take my feet and show them how to run. Take my broken feet and show them how to run, or teach them how to run, something like that. And so I went back to the first line. So, and I was telling him that a broken heart is probably, when you come to the field of medicine, a broken heart is basically not fixable.
Yeah, true.
Because the moment that your heart muscles probably get a heart attack and they don't have blood supply for a moment, they become scarred.
Okay.
And when they are scarred, that piece of muscle can never beat again.
Can't fix it.
You can't fix it.
Okay.
And so that's why when people have 2, 3, 4 heart attacks,
that's it.
They're probably gonna die. If you have a massive heart attack, so you don't have blood supply to certain parts of your organs for an extended period of time, you're probably gonna die if you don't get that fixed in time.
Yeah.
And so I felt like it was, whatever he said was very philosophical. That God is gonna take your broken heart and it's gonna mend all those broken muscles and make them beat again. You know.
Yeah.
And so we went on and on, and it became very philosophical. And there's one thing I realized. I realized that Billy Black's music speaks a lot of hope to people. So at least that's what it said.
Yeah.
That it is there to inspire hope to the broken people, because people are very broken, and
That's
you know
true.
it speaks hope to them. And so I was listening to your music too, and I realized that your music probably does some sort of the same thing.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna come to how you write your music and all, but
Okay.
I just want to ask you, what does singing do to your soul?
Wow. Music for me is just a balm.
Okay.
Yeah. If you listen to, I think this will probably lead to my philosophy for writing music.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, music nourishes me. It fills me up. It re-energizes me. Because if you look at how I write my music, most of my songs are from experiences.
Okay.
Personal experiences. Like I remember there's this particular album I wrote for this choir in Naivasha some 4 or 5 years ago, just before COVID-19.
Yeah.
I was going through a very difficult patch in life. So every song, it wasn't intentional, but the tunes which would come and the words which rang in my mind were just inspired by the events which had taken place in my life at that time. Yeah. So, yeah, I think music for me is a balm, and it teaches me how to probably get back to the word and to find more strength while going through a difficult patch.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thanks for answering that. So you said what music does for you.
Yeah.
But now my question is gonna be very specific.
Okay.
What does singing do to your soul?
Singing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you singing.
Yeah.
What does that do to you?
Wow. It's been a while since I last sang, by the way, I should tell you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you actually sing?
Yeah, I sing.
Are you a good musician? Would you call yourself a good singer?
I would say I'm a singer.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm a good singer, I'm an excellent singer. I'd just say I'm a singer.
Okay.
Yeah, I do my best to go by the book and everything, just to improve on my music, my singing.
Okay.
But what does singing do to me? Singing lifts me up.
Okay.
Because it's some form of service also. When I look at, there's some parts of scripture which say, let me not quote verbatim, but if we don't praise the Lord, even the stones or the rocks are probably going to praise the Lord.
Yeah.
So I think singing is also a form of worship or a form of praise, which should go in gratitude. Yeah. So to me, it lifts me up. It reminds me that the sole purpose for my living is service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is very profound, man. So, the way you write your music,
Yeah.
you and your brother run a studio. You call it
F&M Music Studios.
F&M Music Studios.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So F&M stands for you and your brother, I guess.
Franklin and Martin Music Studios.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Who came up with that name?
We actually both came up with the name. We gave ourselves some time to come up with a brand name. We weren't getting anywhere
Yeah.
because all the names were out there. We just felt, you know what? We could just give ourselves, take the first and second names and just do a mashup and see what comes out.
Okay.
And alas, we had Franklin and Martin.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's Franklin and Martin Music.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like you guys have a writing style.
Okay.
That's what I feel.
That
but
happens.
What do you feel?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
very
I feel
true.
like your music is I can listen to a new song and I say that song sounds like Sam Martin's song.
Okay.
And after, if I see a video of the song and I'm going to sound like F&M Studios, I'm going, okay, that's actually Sam's song.
I think it began a long time ago. In
Okay.
the Bible, there are different writers. There was a way they would be inspired differently.
Yeah.
But when you get to Psalms, you see how David is writing this and this and this. You're just sure this verse is from Psalms. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and especially when I listen to your songs that have been written in English,
Okay.
there's this way that this music flows.
Okay.
I feel like there's some sort of staccato in. I don't know maybe if it's intentional staccato or it's my own imagined staccato in there, but I kind of feel like there's a way that you just put the words and the sound together, and especially some words. I feel like if someone were just listening, they'll probably say that word was too long.
Okay.
And it was forced in there. But then when I sit down and listen to the song, man, it sounds so nice. It's so musical, like it mashes and blends in very well.
Okay.
And so I realized some words will be sung faster than other words.
Okay.
And then the whole thing is done so beautifully. So is that something that you do intentionally, or it is something that has just happened over time that now you do it without even thinking?
I think it's intentional.
Okay.
Because there's some phrases which may not make sense, probably may not make sense if sung at a slow pace or probably as a single word. But when sung together, they make the melody becomes more realistic, or probably the message comes home quicker, so to speak. I really wish you spoke in reference to a particular song. It would be easy for me probably to tell you, this is what inspired me to think of it this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who wrote the song "We Will Overfly the Lofty Mountain"?
Franklin.
Okay.
That's Franklin.
There's a song that you guys sing. I think it's probably a Swahili song. When you guys are walking on the
Heavenly Road. Or which one?
No, not the Heavenly Road. The video of the music video is shot in a graveyard.
That song is Huzuni.
Yes.
By Crotales?
Yes, by Crotales.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I really love that song.
Yeah, I love it too. My wife and I, we played that song continuously for a very long time.
Oh my!
I think
I'm
was it on during COVID or after COVID or soon
Actually,
after?
during that time.
Yeah, man, that
Soon
song was
after.
on replay on a TV or whatever.
That song spoke to me directly. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for example, what inspired you to write that song? I'm not sure if in that song. So the song is in Swahili, so you don't have like those words. But even in Swahili, some of the words that you put in there, you would normally force long words intentionally into a phrase, and they would be sung faster than other words.
Very true.
Yeah. So what inspired? For example, what inspired that song?
Huzuni was a song that spoke to people who are going through loss of a loved one. And probably during that moment, people just need encouragement. People go through various losses in life. And I felt this song needs to come out.
Yeah.
Because I had gone through a very difficult patch, just like I mentioned, just before COVID.
Yeah.
And Huzuni is a very heartfelt song for me. I felt it needed to go out in the way that it did. The tempo was very deliberate. The blend of the harmony was very deliberate. Even the choice of language, because I realized if you write it in English, it wouldn't really, first of all, appeal to the African ear. Yeah. There's a way probably a song loses its impact when it's written in a certain language. That's how I normally feel. So writing in Swahili was very intentional. And the reason for Huzuni particular reason for Huzuni is just to, people are going through a tough time that time. I think Italy, people are dying in thousands. A friend of mine had also lost the mom.
Yeah.
I didn't want to tell him that I really feel your heart, but this is just something to keep you going, probably. I don't even know if he knows I wrote it for him, but anyway. Yeah, so I really hope the song ministers to people out there the same way it does to me. Because stanza 1 speaks about loss of life.
Yeah.
Then stanza 2 speaks about loss of jobs and everything.
Yeah.
Like just losing your footing in life. Yeah.
Is it possible for someone to be alive and dead at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, I've been in the same position before. People may look at you and feel like you have yourself together, but in the inside you're eating up.
Yeah.
So I think that song also speaks to such kind of people. Yeah. Eventually God wants to lift us up if we allow him to use us even in our desperate situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about people who are maybe not sad, but people who are scared? There's someone who says that I think I read somewhere. The people who are afraid die every time that they are scared. And so if you are scared 10,000 times, by the time you actually die, you've died 10,000 times.
Okay.
So you're not even living.
That's
so
profound.
what do you think about that?
I think that's true. I think the essence of life is living in confidence, because we represent a maker who did not make any mistake in making us.
Yeah.
So while we're living, I think it should be in us to remember that he's guiding everything.
Yeah.
And it's in his best interest to make sure that we come out victorious, because it's all for his own glory. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that growing up the way you did turned you into a confident person? Because I feel like you're very confident. Whenever you want something, you go ahead and get it, and you fight in that direction to get it.
I should tell you, I grew up as a very timid guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where did all the confidence come from?
I don't know, but I've just learned to be very intentional with my living.
Yeah.
I try to take advantage of, not really advantage, but to just be present in every moment.
Yeah.
Because it's never coming back. Yeah. That's just me. I used to be very insecure about my hands, about my feet.
What about your hands would make you insecure?
I mean, what do you call this? The wrist?
Yeah.
Was very tiny at the time.
Okay.
So I remember some of my age mates would hold me like this.
Yeah.
And I'd really feel like, hey man, I need to eat. Yeah.
So what you actually say? I remember I also used to do that. So you say your age mates used to hold your hand.
Yeah.
I used to hold myself. I would go ahead and measure how far my thumb and my middle finger were going over
your wrist,
over each other, like we're overlapping each other, and I would tell if I have grown bigger or I've grown smaller. Well, the thing is, I was always a small person. I mean, I was always very thin,
but tall. You've always been tall.
Yeah, I feel like I've always been tall. Taller than most of my classmates at least. And so a funny thing that I can tell you about the tallness again. So every time my wife not every time, but many times when my wife has pointed out somebody to me, I'm like, oh, that short guy? And my wife is like, that guy is not short. And then I go like, well, he's shorter than me, so I think he's short. Yeah. But then I realized that most people are shorter than me, and by extension that becomes that. Yeah. But now I've learned to to counter that. And so coming back to what we were saying about insecurity. So then, how did you overcome, for example, your slender fingers, your slender arm?
Yeah. Well, funny thing. There's a cousin of mine. I don't remember the particular year, but she was studying at Egerton.
Okay. Egerton. So Egerton is a university, right?
University,
okay.
Yeah.
In Kenya. Okay.
Yeah. Based in Njoro, Nakuru County. So she came to study, and one evening we were just doing a stroll around the campus. Then I remember one time she told me, "Sammy, you're handsome." And I can't be okay. Why are you telling me this? I went, no, do you know you're handsome? Then I said, okay. I was fairly young, but the reason why I'm saying this story is because it affirmed my being, so to speak. I can't really say I'm handsome as she said, but there's the awareness that it gave me, that her statement gave me, that there's the way people look at you, and there's how you look at yourself. Yeah. So if you could just marry the two and just look at yourself as God's greatest gift. Yeah. There's nothing you won't do in life. So I think that has been my mantra in life. There are times when I feel I'm not confident. I just tell myself, you know what? Everybody in life is trying to find their way through life. So you might as well just be confident about this situation. Yeah. Yeah. That's how I've taken life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you think it's important for people to affirm each other?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Totally. Like, be very, very vocal about it.
Yeah.
Because people are going through silent battles. They can't say. Those people can be your relatives, your siblings, probably even your spouse. So it's good for people to vocalize affirmations.
And what would that sound like? So let's start, for example, for a spouse. How would you affirm your spouse?
Just tell her you're very beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. She might be beautiful, yes. But by telling her, there's a way words work wonders with people.
Okay.
Yeah. Just reaches to the innermost parts of their being, just like it did to me. Yeah.
So then I would probably tell my wife, something like, you make a very beautiful meal. Would that?
I think the focus now would be on the meal.
would that equate to affirmation that you're a very good chef?
Oh yeah, sure.
Or you're a very good cook?
Yeah.
Okay. Or you clean the house very well.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She may enjoy doing it. Probably sometimes she may not enjoy doing it. But anyway, bottom line is when you tell her,
yeah,
she notices.
Okay.
Yeah. She notices that she's making a difference and you are appreciating it.
Okay.
That's what I've learned, actually. When my wife tells me some things, I feel very confident about those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your cousin told you you're beautiful.
Yes.
You were young and you're confused. What is this?
Yeah,
cousin of mine
exactly.
telling me?
Yeah.
But, you said you're handsome. Okay. So let me ask you.
Yes.
What do you think? How can we affirm our relatives? So relatives could be, cousins, uncles, aunties, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What can we say to them that would count for affirmation?
Just believing in them.
Okay.
Cheering them on.
Yeah.
Making that frequent call.
Yeah.
It may be problematic. Probably you may feel like it's not your job. But I believe every relationship or every relationship should be an ennobling relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, so just reach out, make a call. Always tell them you're there for them. You're rooting for them. If they're posting something on YouTube, probably and has 50 views, just tell them keep going, man.
Yeah.
I saw that thing. So it really works wonders in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about for our kids?
Now we need to be the greatest cheerleaders of our kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm just putting myself in my kids' shoes. If my dad, I'm not saying he didn't do, but I'm saying if my dad just keeps pushing me to do my best by cheering me on. Let me give you an example. I'd mentioned earlier that I took my son for VBS, the Vocational Bible School.
Yeah.
And I was looking at what other kids were doing. Like we had gotten to an outdoor activity and they were just coloring. We had some birds, some animals actually.
Yeah.
And I would look at another kid coloring. And this kid did an amazing job. He was coloring within the confines of the lines.
Yeah.
He was doing different crayons here and there. But my son was just scribbling this thing. Yeah, up and down. Yeah. I was a little bit frustrated because I said, I thought my genes were a little bit creative, man.
My
What's
genes
happening?
were Leonardo da Vinci's genes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now, it seems like, but you don't really even notice that probably it's even a step. It's even a bigger thing that he's even holding the crayon. He's even sitting down. He's even present in the moment. So I think people are going through phases in life where they just need to be encouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it dawned on me that, hey, you know what, this is actually the very first drawing my son is coloring.
Yeah.
So I cheered him on, and I just told myself, you know what, he's just starting off.
Yeah.
Yeah. He may be a very excellent, do you call them painters or what? Yeah. Or probably artist, yeah. Or probably he may not even take art in the long run. But I think I just need to affirm him in a way that probably will improve his outlook of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Great. I remember growing up, my grandfather was my number one cheerleader.
That's nice.
Followed up with my grandmother. Man, even when I was taking cattle out, they used to cheer me up so much. And so I remember, when I was growing up, I met this guy who told me that they used to have these parents who always reprimanded them and told them that, everything they were doing was wrong. It was, don't do that. Whatever you're doing is wrong. And they were always speaking so boldly and greatly about all the wrong things that we were doing. And they never said anything nice about the one thing that they did well. And I think, and first of all, I answered that guy wrongly. I told him, you know what, for me, my grandmother was a cheerleader, man. She used to tell me, she used to see me bring the cattle from grazing, and she used to tell me, oh man, you brought the cattle, you fed them so well. And in that moment, I realized that I broke this guy's heart. Because I feel like I was not there for him to understand where it was coming from.
Where it was coming from, yeah.
Yeah, and from that moment, I realized, man, I needed to actually affirm this guy.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So, ever since that day, I try looking out at people and seeing what they are doing, and I affirm what they're doing well.
Very true.
Which I think is a bad thing, because I never tell them what they're doing wrong, which is bad. And maybe I need to find a way of telling them what they're doing wrong so that I can always balance it out.
That's something.
Yeah, and maybe one of those tools is to tell them what they're doing right. Say it very big, like magnified, and then find. If there's something that they're not doing well enough, you could, use some sort of euphemism.
Okay. Oh yeah. Just trying to infer. Yeah,
to infer to whatever they're doing.
Okay.
We are at one of our marks, so we're almost done here. But I wanted to. So I was looking at the news 2 days ago.
Okay.
And India did something.
Good for you. You watch news at least.
I was actually reading this on CNN.
Okay.
So in CNN, they said that this airline called Indigo Airlines. So Indigo Airlines is one of the largest carriers in India.
Okay.
And they have established a new policy that female passengers can book seats next to other female passengers, so they can look at the list of passengers and they can be told on the seat assignment, and they can say this is a female seat assignment, and they can book a seat in that seat assignment. So I saw this in the news a couple of days ago.
Okay.
So I know that you went to school for
gender
mainstreaming.
Yeah.
And how do you think this makes the world a better place?
Well, I didn't know there's that policy going around.
Okay.
But
it's not a policy, it's something they've introduced in their airline.
On the airline. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good move. Probably for people who feel, they're probably passengers or customers who feel comfortable, more comfortable sitting with male passengers, female passengers, or people of the same gender or sex. Of course, you understand there could be reasons for that.
Yeah.
There could have been occurrences of probably violence, gender-based violence happening just because probably a male and a female probably had such an encounter.
Yeah.
And they'd want really to sell themselves out as, not really sell themselves out, but to portray themselves as a responsive airline.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good initiative. Yeah, it's a good initiative. But generally, I think the world is, this is a very controversial topic.
Yeah.
We have the LGBTQI community.
Yeah.
And I think the world, in general, what I could say is God is calling us to embrace everyone as they are.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Yeah.
And invite, love everybody for who they are.
Just love everybody for who
they
are.
Yeah.
And what they choose to be. Exactly.
And I remember one thing so in my sermon this morning, I was talking about the sinner versus the sinner versus sin, and how Christ hates sin, loves the sinner, but most Christians hate both the sin and the sinner.
I mean, we're human.
Yeah.
I'm really finding it hard. It could be very hard to separate the sinner from the sin from a human perspective.
Yeah.
Loving someone unconditionally is very hard.
Yeah.
Especially someone who's done something wrong against you.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to look at Christ's example, and I can't find any other better example than his. Because he'd love sinners, the very people who'd want to crucify him. He was working with them for a number of years. Even at the Last Supper, he was aware of what this guy with the 30 pieces of silver.
Yeah, Judas.
Yeah, Judas. He was aware of what Judas was going to do.
Yeah.
But he still washed his feet and did everything. So it's a really tough position to be at. Yeah. He knew he was going to die for us.
Yeah.
He knew we were going to kill him.
Yeah.
He still came. Yeah, so anyway.
Damn.
It takes the hand of God to be a Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. Sam. It's been nice hanging out with you, man.
I really wish I had more time, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sam is a singer, he's a songwriter, he's a music producer, runs a studio called F&M Studios. Sam is a YouTuber, he's a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
And he said he's a singer, not a good singer.
I'm a singer. We're running a podcast, actually.
Yeah, okay.
I should say this. About parenthood and motherhood.
Okay.
It's called Tender Beginnings.
Tender Beginnings.
Yeah, you guys should actually grace us one day before you fly out or something.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah,
I unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be possible this time. We can actually find a way to work around it, you know, with all this equipment that we have and the equipment that you have.
Yeah.
We can actually find a way of working around it.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I'm happy that you're actually running this podcast, man.
I'm excited, man. Please don't stop.
You know, one thing I've realized about parenting, I used to think that our parents were so good at what they did.
Okay.
I used to think that our parents knew what they were doing, man.
Yeah, it's like they had a cheat book or something.
But you know what I'm realizing now?
Eh.
They had no idea what they were doing. They were just giving a trial and error, man, just like what I'm doing. There's no way my mother would be so smart when she was my age mate when I was growing up.
Come to think of it.
Yeah. She was going through the same struggles, the same hormones that me and my wife are going through, the same struggles, I guess, the same insecurities and stuff like that.
Very true.
And so they had no idea what they were doing. Yeah. And so it's nice that you have this so that guys can actually probably get a chip book out of it.
Tender Beginnings, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's been a wonderful space to be at. We're just trying to tap into each other's parenthood journey and to learn a thing or two. So we are really looking forward to that time we're going to host you guys. And
that would be lovely, man. I would love to be on that show, man, and talk about every good and bad thing that I've learned as a parent.
Yeah. Let me ask you one thing before we sign out.
Yeah.
Has parenthood changed you? I know you asked someone this thing, but has parenthood changed Joe Abogato?
I feel like it has.
Okay.
I don't know to what extent it has changed me as a person. But I know that I feel like I'm softer now. Okay. I used to be very hard on myself, hard on stuff, hard on life. And before my baby was born, I didn't care about kids at all.
Wow.
Kids between 0 and 2, before they can speak, 0 and 3, I never cared about them. I never used to hold babies.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I never used to carry like under 1-year-old babies, me carrying them. No, I never used to do that. But now, man, I've been carrying my baby everywhere. In all different positions. Because I realized their bones are very flexible. They can curl into this, weird positions and stuff like that, and they would still be okay.
Yeah, true.
And now I'm probably an inspiration to some parents because they look at me or they probably wonder what's going on.
What happened to Ogato?
I have realized, man, that these kids are not fragile at all. They're actually very strong. True.
Yeah.
And I think in that way, being a parent has changed me into loving babies. And now that my baby is 1 year old, and now I can't even get her to lie on me for more than 10 seconds.
Very true. Yeah.
And now I miss those. Exactly. I miss that less than 1 year old.
It's like she flew through the years.
The months.
The months. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
nice.
been
my experience so far.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're liking it.
All right, Sam, man, it's been nice hanging out with you on this couch.
Asante, man.
I hope that we'll get to do this once again because there's a lot more that we can talk about, man. An hour is not enough to fit everything inside. Folks, this has been The Couch Connect. My name is Joe Abogato. I was hosting Sam on this couch today, Sam Martin. I will be catching you guys soon on another episode. Till then, do take care. Goodbye.
Peace.